According to a U.S. official who spoke to the U.S. partner CBS, Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, intends to visit Russia this month to meet with President Vladimir Putin. The idea of North Korea supplying Moscow with weaponry to bolster its conflict in Ukraine will be a topic of discussion between the two leaders, the official added. It is unclear where the talks would take place. The reports, which were also covered by other U.S. media, were met with nothing to say by the Kremlin spokesman. North Korea did not immediately respond with a statement. The New York Times was informed by sources that Mr. Kim will probably take an armored train. The White House announced it had fresh intelligence indicating the two nations' arms negotiations were actively advancing before the potential summit. Sergei Shoigu, Russia's defense minister, allegedly attempted to persuade Pyongyang to sell artillery ammunition to Russia during a recent visit to North Korea, according to National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby. Given its low stock levels, it is believed that Russia may require 122mm and 152mm shells, but due to its secrecy, it is difficult to ascertain North Korea's whole artillery stockpile. The Hwasong intercontinental ballistic missile, thought to be the nation's first ICBM to use solid propellants, was among the weapons on exhibit at the meeting between Mr. Kim and Mr. Shoigu in July. Since the COVID epidemic, Mr. Kim had never welcomed visitors from outside the nation. Since then, Mr. Kim and Mr. Putin have written to one another, promising to increase their bilateral cooperation, Mr. Kirby said. He stated, using the acronym for the North, "We urge the DPRK to end its arms negotiations with Russia and adhere to the public commitments that Pyongyang has made to not provide or sell arms to Russia." He threatened that if North Korea did give Russia weapons, the U.S. would respond with measures such as sanctions. The two leaders' most recent encounter took place at Vladivostok, in the extreme east of Russia, when Mr. Kim came by rail. Officials gave him a traditional gift of bread and salt as a welcome. Additionally, this was likely Mr. Kim's final trip. Both Washington and Seoul are worried about what North Korea would receive in exchange for an arms agreement, which could lead to more military cooperation between the two nations in Asia. As reported by South Korea's intelligence agency on Monday, Mr. Shoigu had offered that North Korea, China, and Russia conduct combined naval exercises like to those conducted by the U.S., South Korea, and Japan. Another worry is that Russia might one day give North Korea weapons when Pyongyang most needs them. Even more concerning, Kim Jong-un might ask Vladimir Putin for access to cutting-edge weaponry or knowledge to further his nuclear weapons program. Additionally, North Korea has conducted tests of missiles launched from submarines and hypersonic missiles, which may travel at speeds up to many times the speed of sound while flying at low height to avoid radar detection. A deal, though, can turn out to be more commercial than strategic. Right now, Russia needs weapons, and North Korea, which is starving due to sanctions, needs cash and food. According to the New York Times, Mr. Kim and Mr. Putin may meet in the Russian port city of Vladivostok on the country's east coast. According to Edward Wong, the newspaper's diplomatic correspondent, a team of North Korean officials visited Vladivostok and Moscow late last month. They included security officers who deal with the protocols surrounding the travel of the leadership, so that was a strong sign for officials looking at this, Mr. Wong added. Both Pyongyang and Moscow have consistently refuted claims that Russia is receiving armaments from the North for use in its conflict in Ukraine. According to John Everard, who held the position of UK ambassador to North Korea from 2006 to 2008, Mr. Kim is completely paranoid about his personal security and that the publicity around the potential visit is a strong reason why the visit is now unlikely to take place. Despite Mr. Everard's claim that the weapons are in very poor condition, North Korea is believed to possess stocks of the weapons that Moscow requires and that are compatible with military hardware from the Soviet era. 2019's Vladivostok summit was followed by Mr. Putin's statement that Mr. Kim would need security guarantees to give up his nuclear program. Just a few months prior, Mr. Kim and then U.S. President Donald Trump met in Vietnam but failed to advance the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula.